Hi, my name is Alyssa Garger. I am a freshman at MIT, originally from New York, and I intend on majoring in course 18, which is mathematics.
Thing. I guess like my first question would be like, when did you first consider MIT as a possibility?
When
Yep.
I first considered MIT as a possibility when I was a freshman, I just joined the robotics team at my high school, and I was being told about these people who were alums who went to MIT and how well they were doing. And so I started looking into MIT more for like the engineering aspect than for the
Mm-hmm.
mathematics aspect. But then as I got older and as I started doing more involved math classes, I realized that that was like more my interest for a major than engineering. However, I am still, freshman at MIT are undeclared. So I am still looking at the engineering majors. Like I'm looking at course 2, which is mechanical engineering, and course 16, which is our aero astro program, aerospace engineering. So yeah, I mean, it seems like an unachievable goal at first because when I was younger, MIT, it seemed so like scary, so difficult to get into. I didn't think I would
Yep.
get into it, but then I applied through QuestBridge. I didn't match, but then I ended up getting an early action. And I didn't even record it because I didn't think I was going to get in. So it just goes to show that like if you put work in and you put yourself out there, anything could be possible.
But hey, you got in
But
and
I
you got
got
into
in.
like the best in the earth as well. So, first of all, congrats. Like it's such a big achievement.
Yeah,
I
thank
know how
you.
hard it is to get into a good school like MIT. Yeah, made it. All right. I guess like a lot of people would be really interested in about your stats. So I guess what was your GPA and test scores?
Okay, by GPA, my school did it on an 100-point scale.
Mm-hmm.
My weighted GPA in high school was in 100.8483, and my unweighted GPA was a 96 or 97. And then I'm not sure what that converts to on a 4-point scale, but I do have it written down. Would you mind if I like looked at it or?
Hey, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I did do the conversion to a 4-point scale just so I could. Okay. This will make it easier. And then also I won't be guessing what my weighted and unweighted are. Okay. I'll just put it over here so I can read off of it. Okay. Weighted GPA was an 100.8483, which when converted to a 4.0 scale is a 4.347. And then my
Okay.
unweighted GPA, it was a 96.1071, and converted to a 4.0 scale, that would be a 3.972. I'm just taking into account, the level of classes I took and everything like that. And then for exams, I took the ACT and SAT each 3 times and the PSAT twice. For the PSAT, I got a 1390 and then a 1410.
Okay.
And I took that sophomore and junior year. And then for the SAT, I got a 1460, 1480, and then 1430. I did not submit my SAT anywhere except safeties. And then for ACT, I ended up getting a 34, 33, then 34. But my ACT super score ended up being a 35 because the last time I took it,
Okay.
I got a 36 in science. So I submitted my 35 ACT super score which included the 34, 33, and 34, all 3 of them.
I think ACT, like 35 ACT is amazing. For sure. Did the school rank as well?
Does the school rank? Oh yeah, I was ranked 13 out of 434 in my high school. So not
Okay.
top 10, but I was top, I believe, 2%.
Amazing. And like, how did you feel about your academic profile? Because I know like MIT, like every applicant is cracked in academics. So like, how did you feel about that?
I feel like my academic profile is good. I'm sorry, I've never been asked this question like in that manner before, so that's why it stumped me a little bit. Yeah, I think I did prepare myself for MIT in high school, which is nice. In my chemistry class, we're doing a lot of stuff that I did in AP chemistry and in AP physics too. In my physics class and math class, even though I'm taking the intro level math class, so I'm taking single variable calculus, so the equivalent of
Mhm.
calculus C. But we're doing a lot of linear algebra in those classes, and so I took linear algebra in senior year. So I also think that my academic profile is pretty competitive. I don't know if that would be the
Mm.
word for it. I took in high school, I did AP chemistry in sophomore year, AP Physics 1 in freshman year, AP Physics C Mechanics in junior year, AP Physics 2 in senior year. And then for math, I did AP Stats and Pre-Calculus honors in sophomore year. And then I did AP Calculus BC in junior year and linear algebra in senior year. Unfortunately, I couldn't take multivariable calculus because it wasn't offered. I was the only person who signed up for it. So the class didn't run. But yeah, I think I set myself up for success, not only for getting into MIT, but also for, doing well in the classes. But with MIT, like I got a 3 on AP chemistry, and with the AP score report, I think you can choose to take some off, but then it says that you paid to take it off. I didn't do that, and they still accepted me. So it doesn't matter if your AP score. I mean, I never failed an AP exam, and then with humanities, obviously, I took humanities APs as well. Yeah, what humanities APs I take? I took AP Summon, AP Lang, AP World History, and AP US History.
And how many AP classes did you take, and how many did your school offer?
I took 10 AP exams. I'm not sure how many my school offered, but definitely more than that, like a lot more
Okay.
than that. I took my freshman year, I took 1. My sophomore and junior year, I took 4 each year. And then my senior year, I took 1.
And how many of those were fives?
None of them.
None of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got 3 4s. Sorry. I got 2 3s and 8 4s. And my calculus AB sub score, because when you take calculus BC, you get a calculus AB sub score. My calculus AB sub score was a 4. So my split is 4 3 3 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 sub score.
I guess like how did you balance taking all of these challenging courses, because you took like very hard courses in math and physics while maintaining your GPA?
I balanced, these courses with my extracurriculars. I did a lot of extracurriculars in high school too, just by making time to do it. I don't really know how I did it, to be honest. Like looking back at how many extracurriculars I did in high school and like with my coursework now, I could never do that. And at MIT, I'm doing 4 courses, which is like the normal, and a PE. And I'm on a dance team, one of our competitive hip hop dance teams. And so it's like I'm even having a little bit of trouble balancing this, and it's not even that much compared to doing a varsity sport and multiple clubs and honor societies and having multiple leadership roles and doing marching band and doing music ensembles and all of that. So just time management, I'd say, yeah, and studying, but also like knowing what to prioritize. Like if you're really struggling in one subject, like studying in that one AP English language, like you don't need to like focus on that as much.
And I feel like the last couple of years of high school are much more harder and more rigorous than test scores, these extracurriculars, and then you have to write good essays, recommendation letters. Yeah, it's definitely like a 60 to 70 hour a week job.
Yeah,
Sure.
I also forgot theater when I was talking about extracurriculars. It's
Gonna say. All
there's a lot.
right, moving on. Let's talk about your extracurriculars. So I guess like, can you walk us through a couple of your extracurriculars, the one you think made the most impact on the admissions officers?
Right. So first off, I did marching band my sophomore year through my senior year, and I was on drumline all 3 years. My junior year, I got a leadership position as battery section leader, and then my senior year, I was percussion captain. That was a very big commitment. Marching band was probably my biggest time commitment, and when I was asked, what my most impactful extracurricular was, or like what extracurricular I thought like I learned the most from, I said marching band in my MIT interview, and I said it on my application as well. And I've seen a few posts by these, college admission help pages saying like, don't do marching band, don't put it as number 1. But I emphasized, it helped me a lot with, it's physically challenging and challenging, and then also figuring out how to be friends with the people that you're, talking to, the people that you're working with, how to be friends with them while also being a leader. And then senior year, I was percussion captain, which meant that I was the leader of the battery section leader and the other percussion section leaders. And then I was also the leader of the people underneath them. So figuring out that balance as well. And then I did varsity cheerleading all 4 years of high school, and in senior year for both seasons, it was fall and winter, I was captain and choreographer. So I choreographed the dances that we did, and I was like a big part in practice. Like I helped with in practices. So it was a lot of work for that as well. Not as big of a time commitment as marching band, but definitely just as much work, if not more. And then I did theater all 4 years of high school. So even though I didn't do every single show, I did the musical every year except my senior year. And I did the fall play a few years. And we also had a show in June that I was involved in only my sophomore year. So for theater, I didn't do every single thing. And then I was involved in chamber singers my junior and senior year. I was,
Okay.
yeah. And what else? I was involved in robotics from 8th grade through high school. So in 8th grade, I was on our FLL challenge team, and which is a part of first, just to clarify. And then 9th grade through 12th grade, I was a part of our FRC team while also helping mentor our FLL teams, both FLL Challenge and then what we got them, FLL Explore, which is elementary school. So not only was I part of the high school robotics team, but also a mentor for the younger robotics teams. I also did on music ensembles during the school day. And then on top of that, I did a few small clubs that I went to once in a while that just like were things that interested me, like the philosophy club, where it would just be more of like a seminar style, like you just sit in a circle and talk about topics and it would just bounce around the room. And then I did multiple honor societies. I was in Spanish Honor Society, National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, which is Math Honor Society, Rho Kappa, which is History Honor Society. And for National Honor Society, I was president during my senior year, and I was PR officer during my junior year. And for National Honor Society, it was a lot of things with service that we focused on. We focused a lot on service,
Mhm.
and so that was why I chose to make that the club that I would be president of. Was involved in our student government as well. And then I was a part of the site committee during my junior and senior year, which our site committee, it's a group of a few students, a few teachers, and a few parents, and then all the administration of the high school that would meet. We would all meet once a month and discuss things with the school that should be changed or like things that have brought to like for us, like I acted as one of the student liaisons. So if like a student thought something should be changed or wanted to write a proposal for it, or if I wanted to write a proposal, I wrote in my junior year a 20-page proposal on things that should be changed regarding the bathroom policies and the amount of bathrooms we have at my high school. And I presented it at the site committee. And so it's just a place to foster change in the community. And then outside of high school I've been dancing forever. So I was involved in that throughout high school. And then I also was a part of my church's youth group. So through my church's youth group, we would go and we would every once a month we would go to the city, like New York City, because I'm from Long Island, which is right outside of New York City. So we would travel into Manhattan and we would provide those in need with food, clothing, toiletries, and other necessities. And then if we had leftover food, we would bring it to like homeless people that we saw on the streets, like on our way back.
Um,
Uh, very service focused, and I I also in my MIT interview, it's like yes, they value like service and things like that, but they also value like you being a collaborative person and valuing community. I do think that my educators show that. I mean, I do value each of the communities that I made through all of those extracurriculars. And then also service is like very important to me. And I spent the most time with my youth group. We did other service other than just the breakfast runs. Biggest that we did for service.
Especially from students with somewhat similar situation with strategy activities. So you had varied interests. So like, how did you make sure they all put forward a consistent narrative throughout your application?
Can you like elaborate on that?
You had like several different buckets of activities, right? You had dance, you had like a couple of leadership positions. So I guess like, how did you make sure they all put forward a consistent narrative throughout their application?
Right. So, throughout my high school, I not only took challenging STEM classes, but I also took, classes in the arts and things of that sort because that's what interests me personally. So the narrative I put forward, I guess, would be that, even though I enjoy STEM and I do have extracurriculars in STEM, most of my extracurriculars are arts based because that's what I enjoy to do
Mm-hmm.
more in my free time. So that was kind of like the balance, you know like doing our extracurriculars for the most part, and then
Mm-hmm.
focusing on STEM mainly like during the school day, like in my courses. For the most part, again, like it is. I do have varied extracurriculars where like I did do robotics and things of that sort, but I wasn't in a leadership position or anything for robotics, and I was in a leadership position for marching band, and cheerleading can be seen as kind of an arts thing because I was choreographer. So I was, dance that I was
Okay.
focusing on for the most part when I was teaching, at least.
Like a lot of people also want to build like leadership positions on their application because it's a very big thing in college applications. So I guess like what's the difference between like leadership on paper and just checking that box versus real leadership, and how do you show it to admissions officers that
Uh, Yeah, one thing that like you shouldn't do is like you shouldn't just get a leadership position because you want to look good on your college application. Like I got
yeah.
leadership positions in not only my community youth group, I was a PR officer for that, but also in Swan Society and in marching band and in cheerleading. And those are four things that I was really passionate about and that I put the most time into for the most part. I mean, National Honor Society obviously wasn't as big of a commitment as cheerleading and as marching band, and neither was youth group. But those are four things like youth group I had been doing for a very long time, and National Honor Society is another service based organizations. So two of my leadership positions were in organizations in which the main focus was service and, really putting it, giving back to the community. And my other two extracurriculars were more arts focused. And they were also things I've been doing for a long time. I've been doing cheerleading since I was 5 years old. I've been doing like playing percussion since elementary school. So just those two things are things I've always been passionate about, or things I've always enjoyed. And a way to like show to admissions officers that you're not just doing it to check off that box is, the thing that I spent the most time in and that I had the most important leadership position in, which is marching band. I listed as my number one on my application. I talked about it the most and I had a lot to talk about. I didn't just say like, oh yeah, I'm like a leader in this. It was more about like the relationships that I built with people and like that the marching band, it not only was like an activity that I did to improve my skills as like a drummer and as a marcher, but also to improve my leadership skills. And it really helped me the most with that. And then with cheerleading, it helped me learn how to teach, because in my team, like the captains run practices for the most part.
uh,
So I was running practice with my co-captains every single day. And like when we were teaching the dance, like I was teaching the dance and like I was running practice during those sections. So it really taught me not only how to teach dance, but also again, with that nuanced relationship with, being people's friends and then also having to draw that line sometimes and be a leader, more so with cheer, because with marching band, staff members would keep the practice structured for
uh,
the most part, and I was just there to help out, except for when we did sectionals outside of practices. Or sometimes I'd have to run a section or something like that. But for the most part, in marching band, it was really just about like motivating our peers and being there to help when they could. Versus with cheerleading, it was more about like teaching everyone and having to run practices and having to do everything for the practice. So for cheerleading, that taught me about leadership in different manners. Also taught me like knowing how to teach something is a really valuable skill. And so that is also like something that I learned through cheerleading, and how to be patient when you're teaching something. Because something that like a dance move that might have seemed simple to me, it wasn't actually, simple to everyone. And I had to think about how to break things down and how to really like make sure that everyone understood it, what I was doing. Because we would also teach the cheers and stuff like that. The only parts of practice that were run by the coaches in cheerleading was like the stunting section. The rest of it was all like us. And with youth group and with National Honor Society, they were also more run by the staff than run by the people in leadership positions. However, with National Honor Society, our general meetings, the officers would all present. So I did run some meetings, but the things that we did for service, the ideas were brought to the staff members from us, from the officers who took feedback from the students that were a part of National Honor Society, from the members. So a lot of like relaying things, same kind of thing with site committee, except site committee, I was like one of the, again, it's like student liaisons. So even though that wasn't directly a leadership position, did teach me like how to speak for a group of people in like a meeting. But yeah, for National Honor Society, even though it wasn't fully running meetings, we did run things. So that taught me, again, it improved my public speaking skills and things of that sort. And then also helps teach me how to organize events and things like that, because in National Honor Society, the officers had more of, an involvement. Because with cheerleading, it's just like, okay, we have these games. With marching band, it's like, okay, we have these practices and these competitions. But with National Honor Society, it was okay, like, what events do we want to do? How are we going to set it up? Where are we going to do it? And when we had drives for organizations, like, we came up with what organizations we wanted to donate to, or like hold a drive for. And with group, it was run through the church. So it was, although like the youth minister would organize like the event, we had a big role in helping out. And especially because youth group goes down to 5th grade. So, that's my only extracurricular other than mentoring for FLL. That was my only extracurricular where I worked with like kids. So, I mean, mentoring with FLL too. So with mentoring with FLL and with having a youth team leadership position in my youth group, they both helped me learn how to, you know, you know, work with children. But with youth group, it was more on like a low key, like unofficial level. We would just help run meetings with the kids that were younger, and we would also, play a big part in, organizing events and things like that with youth group. Like, we did a few car washes to donate to humanitarian aid, or to donate to other charities and things of that sort. And then with mentoring for FLL, it was more formal than that. It taught me how to work with kids, and also, be kind of friendly, but, having to like draw that line, and how to give assignments, like what assignments to give and things like that. Sorry, very long tangent. Just make sure that, even though, yeah, like, you should have leadership positions and things that you're passionate about, like, you shouldn't just like do it to do it. You should do it because you love it. Like, I just talked for so long about that because I loved what I did, and I did it because I loved it. And if you can't talk about what you're doing for extracurriculars and what you're doing for leadership positions for like 5 minutes, then maybe you should, get a leadership position in something else that you do care more about.
Let's talk about your awards and honors section. So tell us a bit about your awards and honors.
I actually don't have what I put for that. Sorry, now I have to think back. So for awards and honors, I think my most important award or honor would be the QuestBridge College Prep Scholars Program. So in the spring of my junior year, I was selected, as I have no clue how many, a number of students, to be a part of the QuestBridge College Prep Scholars Program. And so that was, I believe, the first honor that I put down, just because also I was applying like through QuestBridge to college for the most part. I mean, I did safety schools through Common App, but I got into MIT through QuestBridge. The College Prep Scholar Program gives you a higher chance of getting into the National College Match, which is why I placed it so highly. And it helped a lot. Excuse me. The QuestBridge National College Match helped a lot with figuring out where to apply and how to apply to college and things of that sort. They had a lot of resources that were given to us because we were college prep scholars. And then other awards that I put down would be awards from cheerleading, because they did awards every year. For example, during my senior winter season, I got the most valuable player award, but obviously that was too late to put on my application for college. So just awards from other years from cheerleading. I got a lot of certificates for work done in marching band and National Honor Society from the administration. So I put a few of those down. Other awards would be just like honor societies valued. I don't think I listed Spanish Honor Society because I didn't do much with it. I believe I did rank National Honor Society as an extracurricular, so that was like in a different pool. And then I only put honor societies that I was pretty involved in on the honors section. And then with other awards, I had the oh my god, what is it called? I'm sorry, wait, let's see. I had the 3 years of the AP Scholar with Distinction Award that I was able to put down. And then I also got the College Board National First Generation Recognition Program, a certificate of recognition for outstanding academic achievement. So that was another thing I put down. I didn't do math competitions, or I didn't have any like science Olympiad medals, and the awards that I did win with teams, it was placed under the activity section, because like with marching bands, I was placed in the activity section, and we did win number one in the state in our league, or that's not the word for it. In our section, we won number one in the state 3 years in a row, but uh, that's not an award, that's like an individual award. And then same thing with robotics. Like I was on the team that helped us win the chairman's award in 2022. And we went to Worlds 3 out of the 4 years that I was involved in the FRC team, but that's not an individual award. So that went under the activity section. Things like that. Although my awards might not seem like spectacular, so it might seem kind of boring. I did have a lot of achievements listed under the extracurriculars because they were like team achievements.
And moving on, let's talk about your essays. So, like, what did you write your main Common App essay about?
Okay, so for QuestBridge, they ask you to write an 850-word personal statement. So it is a tad longer than, the Common App personal essay would be. So for Common App, I selected like the other option, which is choose your own prompt. And then I adapted that 850-word personal statement because I have a specific prompt for the personal statement about events that impacted your life the most or something of that sort, because they want to get to know your background. For the QuestBridge personal statements, it was that prompt, but obviously I didn't list a prompt for Common App, and I just shortened the 850 words down to 650 the best I could, but obviously I had to shorten it by 200 words, leaving it in the best manner that I could, and then I just used that for Common App. I also didn't apply to many schools via Common App. I only applied to my safeties via Common App. So for certain schools, the ones that I had, what's the word for it? Like direct admission offers, whereas like if I applied, I was guaranteed to get in. But these are the safety schools that I applied to that I had that for. Like I don't believe I submitted an essay for, but for other schools, to give them 10 and other like schools that are more challenging to get into, I did submit that essay. So I wrote my QuestBridge personal statement and Common App essay about the same thing. And my personal statement was about my relationship with my father, not only growing up, but also how his death during my junior year impacted me, and how I tried to use a lot of like colorful language. I actually did that edit like 2 days ago. I tried to use what I learned especially from my AP English language class, and to really, apply the strategies, the material strategies that I learned, and use it. So like when I was talking about going through things in his room after he passed away and trying to figure out what I would take, what my siblings would take, I used listed technique and, listing things that were in material. I tried to make sure, because I know that they often say like you shouldn't write an essay about a family member because it'll be more about them than it'll be about you. Like, don't write an essay about your grandma because it'll just make your grandma look like a great person. I mean, my relationship with my father was rather nuanced. There were a lot of ups and downs because throughout my childhood, there were issues, and then my parents got divorced, and so it was very complicated. And then when he passed away, it's still complicated, less complicated, obviously, but it's the essay wasn't necessarily about him, but it was more about me coping with his death and throughout my childhood, navigating.
And like you're less than 2 months away from ED, and a lot of people are currently asking me, and they're just like waking up to reality about essays. So like, how do you suggest they approach their essay writing process at this moment?
How do you approach what? I'm sorry, there's some like wind or something that's like making your mic quality a little bit worse. I don't know.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
I couldn't really hear what you said.
So like, how do you suggest people approach essay writing at the last minute? Like, when did you start, and how do you suggest they approach the essay writing process? Like 1 month out to ED.
Say about for a pretty long time. So brainstorming wasn't exactly that difficult, but it was difficult to try to figure out how to format it, things like that. I take that started with your essay writing early, not only for your, personal essay, but if you have any additional essays that you have to do for schools or like for QuestBridge, it's not just the personal statement, it's the 850-word personal statement. And then also it's two shorter essays. I can believe one's 650 and one's 450, and then a bunch of short, like 30-word responses. And then I know a lot of schools have supplemental essays. I had to do some supplementals for MIT and other schools that I applied to, of that caliber, Yale, Princeton, Stanford. And then I also know that like A lot of schools have really unique ones. Like I know U Chicago has a list that they put out every year. So I'd say with supplemental essays, especially ones that are like as complicated as like U Chicago's, like get started on those as early as you can. So you make sure you have the most polished product when you submit it. With my personal essay, the QuestBridge application opened in July and wasn't due until September. So I started my personal essay in July. So that's what, 2 months to really work on it. So not only did I write pretty quickly, but after I wrote it, I had not too many people, but I had a number of people look over it and give me feedback, including my peers and teachers and other adults in my life. And I had them really proofread it and not only give me like feedback on like grammar or things of that sort, but also style and how things might come off and, if I should use other words. Making sure that you have enough time to really polish your essay is extremely important. With my supplemental essays, for uh, most of my schools, they were done pretty last minute. They also, because I applied through QuestBridge, I had less of application is so extensive. I only had to write about why I wanted to choose MIT and why I wanted to choose my major. So those were pretty easy to go through, but I did it like the day it was due. And I definitely think, even though I got in, I definitely think that it would have been a lot better if I did do it more in advance. And then for Yale, Princeton, and Stanford, I applied to them. Um, Yale, I applied to at the same time as MIT. I also did the subs last minute. And then Princeton and Stanford, I probably did the subs last minute. But again, I had less subs for those schools because I applied through QuestBridge. So yeah, don't be like me. Don't do your supplemental essays on the same day that they're due. And especially with your personal statement, you want to get started like at least a month or two in advance so that you really have time to consider how you're writing it, the format in which you're writing, like consider maybe you want to add some imagery or you want to, make your writing a little bit more colorful so it's not just like boring and admissions officers don't just think they're reading the same thing like 50 times. You want yourself to stand out. You want your writing to stand out. And I think that um, you know, giving yourself the most time to work on your essay is helping make sure that your personal writing style stands out.
Amazing. I think I'll just ask my last question. I guess, like, what advice would you have for your freshman self?
Advice. I guess the only advice I would have for my freshman self is just like don't think that things are unachievable just because they seem like difficult. I remember in freshman year, I was so scared when I went into my first robotics meeting and everyone seemed to know what they were doing, but then I got more and more involved in it and it wasn't scary anymore. Same thing with the college. The college application seems scary, but once you're actually applying, it's not that bad. And there's a chance that you will get into your dream school. And so I would just say, don't think we're never going to get into it. I should just not apply. Or, don't think like, oh, like this club is too hard to get into. I'm not going to do it. Or like this sport is too hard to get into. Like I'm not going to even try out for the team because, things that I didn't think were achievable and that beat some of the best experiences I've had. Like with chamber singers, it was a huge time commitment. I applied in junior year, I auditioned, you have to sing for your audition. And I was really scared. And I ended up getting in and be one of the best experiences I had in high school. Same thing with theater, trying out for shows this year. But just never let that fear stop you from doing something that you think you might enjoy or stop you from, going for your dreams.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that.